Okay, we now get to oil, and I'll spend the next time talking in depth about the oil industry. Oil starts, interestingly enough, petroleum starts. Petroleum, you think about, usually it's charged with capitalist development, industrial development, waste, or use a lot of resources. You have a lot of natural resources. As industry comes in, the natural resources disappear. In the case of petroleum, petroleum was not a natural resource until industry came along. Petroleum was just a pain in the neck. It was a big waste product. Just black ooze. Considered, ugh. And because there's nothing to do with it. Nobody knew what to do with it. There was nothing to be done with petroleum. What happened was, before the Civil War, the major lighting source was whale oil lamps. You've probably seen it in old movies, 18th century movies of sailing ships and the whale lamp. A whale was a common resource, okay? So, whale, unfortunately, you can say was whale communism in the sense that if you kill a whale, you own it. Like if the whales swimming around in the ocean, nobody owns. They're unowned property. You can't own a school of whales. You still can't own a school of fish. As a result, the incentive was to kill as many whales as possible. If you didn't kill the whale, your competitor would kill a whale. There's no incentive to conserve the whale population because there's no private property in the whale school or whale bed, or whatever you call these guys. Okay? So there's usually a different word for a collective group of fish. As a result of fish communism or whale communism and the resource, you have an overuse of whales, and you begin to have a big whale shortage, a big whale scarcity. So, since there was a free market in whale energy, so to speak, what happened then is that as the supply of whales began to go down, the price of whale oil went up. As the price of whale oil went up, and they got more and more expensive, people began to look around for alternative energy sources. You didn't have an International Energy Commission to try to plan this. It's purely free market sort of setup. They saw whale prices were going on. Yeah, we got to do something about it. What are we going to do about lamps? They started then looking at the technology and maybe an alternative source of lighting, and they came up with petroleum, the kerosene lamp. And they started using petroleum. Originally, it started with petroleum, which is sort of hanging around the surface of whatever. I don't know where it is, lakes or whatever. Obviously, there's not much of it. In the old days, nobody was using any. They had surface petroleum. They started using that. And they started the technology out, hey, this looks good. You can use kerosene lamps are even better than whale oil. They smell less badly and all that sort of stuff, and it's cheaper. And as a result of that, they began to drill for oil. The first oil well was Titusville, Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, and by God, they found lots of oil. As I said, western Pennsylvania becomes the big oil area, okay, and this remains that way until after 1900. And so, and then you begin to get refineries. The first big refineries were in Cleveland. They weren't very big at first. They were sort of small refineries and using, starting with commercial equipment or whatever. And John D. Rockefeller, by the way, fits the same so-called stereotype as Hill and Gould and all those other people. He was short, he was thin, 5'2" or something, 5 foot. He started off and fairly impoverished. His father was sort of a quack patent medicine salesman. He went around, one of these guys like in the movies, he said, buy this bottle and you'll cure all your hepatic, sciatica and cancer or whatever. And so, he was born, by the way, again in western New York. Therefore, of course, is a Republican. I mean, if you're not a Calvinist or a Catholic, very few Catholics in western New York, you're of course a Republican. And, his family moved to Cleveland. Yeah, I think his family moved to Cleveland when he was in high school. And as with Morgan, you'll find out that key Republican figures and key figures in the oil industry turn out to be guys who knew Rockefeller in high school or in grade school. If you knew Rockefeller in high school and grammar school, you were in. Okay, we'll resume that on Thursday.